I understand we're bad away from home, but to lose against a team that hasn't won at home in their last 9 games... I have to try and be somewhat respectful in this video because I'm in a hotel. The wall behind me might have someone in it. This one is a lift, so I'm good on this side. But that game, it wasn't something that... It wasn't one of them games where you look at like certain areas of the game, certain moments in the game, and you're like, oh, if it had gone slightly different in certain moments, it could have been a different story. Like, let's not get things wrong here. We were just dominated, not possession-wise, we dominated the midfield, but shots-wise and... just actual looking like a team that was going to win a game, we were dominated by a team that is almost certainly in a relegation fight this season. I mean, maybe they're not now. Maybe we've given them the confidence they needed to go on and get out of the relegation fight. But what frustrates me more than anything about that game is that if any away game is going to be winnable, it's a game where the home fans are in a literal different fucking postcode from the players on the pitch. Like, West Ham's home is not a fortress. They are a team that was devoid of all confidence going into that game. And for some reason, we set up in the same way that we would have set up to go away to the Etihad. Every single week, it's the same fucking 4-3-3 that doesn't create things. We've known for 4 fucking years now that this 4-3-3 cannot break down low blocks. And it especially can't break down low blocks when we don't put the creative players in that we have bought to try and break down low blocks. Why is Joe Linton still starting against low block teams? Like, I'm not digging Joe Linton out specifically. I'm not digging any players out specifically because other than maybe Jacob Murphy and Malik Chow, everyone had an absolute fucking stinker. Like, I'm seeing a lot of people digging out Nick Pope. You know, Nick Pope, yeah, granted, could have done better on a couple of the goals, but it wasn't his fault. The fact that he had that many shots against him from a team that is devoid of confidence, can't score goals, can't defend, has been absolutely fucking awful all of this season. The fact that he had that many shots against him, that's the problem. And obviously, like, I'm criticizing the setup here, and like, overall, I still love Eddie Howe. I still, you know, I'm not going to sit here saying Eddie Howe out like you're seeing some fans saying, but fuck me. 4-3-3 every single game. It doesn't create things. It just, we're never going to score goals against low block teams. We're always going to fail away from home when the home team is in a low block if we keep with this non-creative 4-3-3 every single fucking time. And against teams like this, we just signed 2 really good players that can completely change the way we play. We could either have put Ramsey in a 10, not played Joe Linton, or we could have put Voltemada in a 10. And if Eddie Howe thinks that taking off your main striker, your top goal scorer of the season, when you need a goal, when you're 2-1 down at half time, if he thinks that replacing your top goal scorer with Will Asula is fair, and I'm not criticizing Asula, if Eddie Howe thinks that that's, you know, gonna work, then why can Will Asula not just play the role that Wissa is probably gonna play when he's back? Why can we not just put Voltemada in the 10 and have Asula playing off him instead of Wissa? Because what's the fucking point in taking Voltemada off, the only player that's actually fucking scoring goals for us, really, and replacing him with Asula, who granted is also doing quite well for us and is also scoring goals, but why can we not, against a team that is devoid of confidence, sat in a low block, you know, if we'd have penned them in for the whole game, they would have been pretty much unable to attack and just sat in the low block the whole time. Why can we not just put Voltemada in the 10, Asula running off him, just like as most of us are expecting Wissa to be doing off Voltemada? Like, that's what Voltemada is good at. Voltemada is good at his link-up play. It's at least worth a fucking try. And until Wissa is back, if you're gonna sub on Asula to be the only outlet when we're a goal down at half-time, then at least give it a fucking try. At least try and change the fucking system for once. Like, for me, after this game, we're gonna go and play Bilbao midweek, right? And we're gonna probably win that game because it's a home game. Because this is what we do. We play at home, we play somewhat okay, then we go away and we just absolutely fucking shit the bed. And like, if we go and play Bilbao, and, you know, like, the narrative around this is going to be, oh, we need a response against Bilbao. I don't give a fuck if we get a response against Bilbao after that game, because I'm sick of this same pattern. I'd like, go ahead and win against Bilbao. Go put a good performance out. That doesn't undo this for me. Going and beating Brentford away at the weekend, that's what you have to do. We need to solve the away form problem. I don't care about just winning every game at home. Like, I generally try to stay quite level-headed on this channel, and like what I wanted to come on and talk about in this game, I wanted to come on and talk about how, you know, if we'd have beaten West Ham, I wanted to come on and talk about how we might have better Champions League hopes than everyone kind of is giving us, because if you look at the teams that at the start of the season you thought were going to get Champions League, teams like Liverpool, there's teams like that that are really kind of falling off, teams like Aston Villa, like there's a lot of teams that, the only teams that really look like they're going to be in that Champions League thing for definite is like Arsenal, Man City, maybe Chelsea, and then it looks like there could be a potential fourth spot, right? Now, we're never going to get Champions League football. We're never going to get even European football if we can't go away to relegation candidates, people in a fucking relegation battle who haven't won a game in their last 9 home games. If we can't go there and even get a point. I'd also wanted to come on here and talk about all the Spurs fans giving shit to Joe Linton because of, you know, all of his fouls and stuff, and everyone saying that he should be, you know, banned from football and all this kind of nonsense. And I wanted to, you know, show the table of fouls this season and who has the most like yellow cards and stuff, and we're actually bottom. Spurs are, I think, like 3rd or 4th. So I wanted to come on and kind of laugh about the bollocks that they're talking about, but we've gone and completely fucking embarrassed ourselves. And like, when I look at the game, it looked like, it felt genuinely like Eddie Howe was trying to lose the game. Like, when do you go a goal down at half time to like quite an unlucky goal as well? Like, obviously it was an own goal, Botman kind of slides to try and make contact with it, and it goes in. And like, just before half time, why then would you take off your top scorer? You then put Joe Linton left wing. You don't change the system at all. We took Gordon off, which, like, granted, he wasn't particularly doing all that much. We proceeded to put Murphy, the only other player that was any form of threat, to right back, so he's now not going to be a threat. So we currently have a front three of Asula, Joe Linton, and then Harvey Barnes comes on his wrong side. So you've got Joe Linton playing left wing, who isn't really that much of a threat down the left wing. The only player that could still be a threat is Harvey Barnes, but he's on his wrong side, so he's not going to be much of a threat. Like, we were literally sat in a position where basically all hopes for a good like 20-30 minutes were rested on Asula, and like, that's been great when he's came on for the last 10 minutes when everyone's tired, but like, Asula is a backup striker at the end of the day. Like, for me, at half-time, if you were going to bring Asula on, you just drop Voltemada down into a 10, take Joe Linton off, have Bruno and Tonali just controlling possession as best as they can. Voltemada offers that kind of link-up play with them, so you've still kind of got a midfield 3. You could bring, you know, Barnes on, put Gordon over to the right, and then you've got Asula up top. For me, that wins the game. The setup was wrong. We went 1 goal down, the reaction was wrong, and I don't know whether that's from the players or, well, and the changes feel like they were wrong, so the substitutes made it feel like made it worse. This isn't me just wanting to find someone to blame, so I'm like, oh, let's just blame Eddie Howe. But there was just so much that, like, it felt like he was trying to lose the game. And I don't even understand people saying, oh, well, you know, maybe he's resting players for the midweek game. Like, this should be, if you go an unlucky goal down at half-time, this should be the easiest game of the season to turn around and get 3 points. And instead, it literally looked like he was just like, nah, rest everyone, move on, next game. And if that was the case, and if that was what he was doing, if he, you know, took the players off at half-time because the game seemed out of reach, which it's West Ham, the game should never seem out of reach. The game shouldn't seem out of reach at fucking 3-0 down in the 70th minute, because that's how bad they have been so far this season. So never mind at half-time. But if that was the case, if he did just give up at half-time because we went a goal down to an unlucky goal, then for me, if I was one of the fans that had travelled down for that game, I'd be fucking outraged. I am outraged. And I didn't travel down for the game. I'm in Thailand. Like, I understand it's what you sign up for. It's part of being a fan. You're going to get the shit games. But if you travel 6 hours down to London on a coach or something like that, if you make that long journey and then they just give up at half-time when it's a game that, as I said, it should never have been given up. Like, you sort of have to look at it as like, why do you bother going down and supporting the team, making all that effort to go down and support the team if they can't be bothered to put on a fucking, at least an attempt to win the game in the second half? As I said, this isn't a particular blame on anyone. I know it seems like I'm blaming Eddie Howe, and for that result, I do feel like a lot of the blame does fall at Eddie Howe's feet, but at the end of the day, like, he has worked absolute wonders at the club. So I'm not, as I said, I'm not going to be sat here like Eddie Howe out, but I do think that as a fan, when a performance like that happens, you are well within your right to criticise it, because that was fucking dreadful. And as I said, we can smash Bilbao 4-0 midweek. I don't fucking care about that. We need to start seeing differences in the away form. I don't really have much more to say than that, other than obviously doing the giveaway again. again for the pink shirt. So obviously, speaking of the Bilbao game, get your score predictions and first goal scorers in as a reply to the pinned comment. But yeah, up until this point, I was sort of able to mask the bad away form with the fact that we're in the Champions League, we're doing quite well in the Champions League, we're doing quite well in the Cup as well. Like, I was able to kind of mask the bad away form a little bit with that, but I can't excuse it anymore when we go and lose to a team that hasn't won at home in their last 9 fucking home games. Like, I can't excuse that anymore. Like, I understand the people saying, oh, we were 12th at Christmas last year and we still managed to qualify for Europe. Like, you're looking at that with a very, very, very glass half full kind of view, because the way that we're playing at the moment in the away games, losing to relegation teams, like the only teams that we've beaten in the league are Fulham, Forest and Wolves. Like, that is the kind of form of a low mid-table team. So if things don't start changing very soon, there is absolutely no fucking chance that we get Europe next season. Granted, I think things will potentially improve when Wissa comes back, Tino comes back, Lewis Hall comes back, but regardless, we still have enough quality in the team to be beating teams like West Ham. And yeah, I really think that we need to start looking at the teams we're up against and making some tweaks to the system so that we're not going to West Ham away and having the same setup as we would at the Etihad away. Like, we need to be looking at these low block teams and setting up in a way where we can just dominate them. We can, make a way, find holes in their low block, because the same setup every single week is becoming predictable, and it's been very fucking evident for quite a while now that everyone in the Premier League has got us figured out. There is enough quality in that squad without Lewis Hall, without Tino, without Wissa. There is enough quality in that squad to break down West Ham. For me, it comes down to not utilising the players that we had available to the best ability. And Eddie Howe over time has been great at doing that. He's been great at getting the best out of players, but sometimes 4-3-3 isn't gonna fucking cut it. We've had the same problem for 4 fucking years. It isn't going to cut it in every single game. But anyway, onwards to the Bilbao game midweek, because that's what we just have to get used to now, is an absolute shit show away from home. And then we go back to St James's Park and, everything's forgotten, which, as I said, for me, it's not. For me, we have to go and get a result away at Brentford, which isn't an easy place to get a result, but that's the position we've put ourselves in. The position we put ourselves in by not even attempting to get something from the second half against West Ham. We've now put ourselves in a position where, for me, and I think probably a lot of the fans, I don't claim to speak for all the fans, but I think for a lot of us, like, we're not going to forget about that West Ham game when it comes to the Brentford game. And if we don't get a result in that Brentford game, the fallout from the West Ham game will carry on into the Brentford game, regardless of the result. Again, well, I suppose if we lose against Bilbao as well, it'll be even worse. Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. You've probably not enjoyed the video, but please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.